All right guys, welcome back to Frugal Homestead. So today I want to talk about my 40-quart E-Kooler from Massimo. So I got this on sale at Tractor Supply for $1.99. Nobody gave this to me. I'm not being paid to do anything with this. This is something I bought my own money. I have thoroughly enjoyed it. I've had it in 3-week-long situations to really give it a good test, as well as doing some just timed out testing with my Oops solar pack. And through all my experiences, has been nothing but wonderful. Now, if you have a regular old cooler that takes ice, you need to pay attention to this video because you can quickly see how this is a far superior product compared to buying ice, and it will pay itself off versus the ice very quickly. So let's get started. So the first thing on this cooler is I bought the 40 quart. It's a little bigger than what we really need, but I did it for one reason, and that's because it has wheels and a handle. This makes it much easier for my wife if she wants to use it to move it around, especially if it's loaded. Now, it's not the greatest on dirt and like gravel rock, but it still rolls pretty good considering how small the wheels are. I'm not complaining. It works good enough to make it easier for her where she doesn't have to manually pick it up. Now, that said, let's talk about the controls because there isn't a whole lot to this here, guys. We've got a power button. We've got a settings button, which just changes it from max to Econo Mode. That's it. And then you got your temperature up and down. Now, obviously, you can go way up. It'll go down to -4 degrees. Now, it works best about 1 degree to keep everything frozen in it. Yes, it does freeze everything and keep it there. And then about 30 degrees is perfect for refrigerator, but right under the pocket of the motor, that will try to freeze at 30 degrees. So keep your stuff you want to keep the coldest over there. Now, this does have 4 drink holders at the top that makes it extremely useful. It also has a USB slot in the top, so you can plug your phone in or whatever. Now, this came with 2 different types of charger, one for your cigarette lighter in your car, and one with a power block that plugs into the wall, both of which work perfectly. I've used both in long-term situations. Now this thing does kick on and off. Generally speaking, in max mode, it's at like 40 watts basically. And then Econo Mode, all it does is it stretches the temperature a little farther before it kicks on. And then it's like 2 or 3, maybe 4 watts less when the compressor runs. It's not a huge difference, but it does matter when you run it off like solar or something like that. Now we have used it with my little Oops solar pack, and it'll run about 48 hours on that. And these kick on and off. Now I do want to warn you that this actually has a compressor in it. There are kinds made by Igloo and other stuff that are much cheaper than these, but they don't have compressors and they are really inefficient. They are really bad, guys. So make sure you don't go buy some junk. Now, on the Massimo website, these are very expensive. Now, if you go to Tractor Supply, you can get them a little cheaper. But I'm gonna tell you a secret. I'm gonna put links down in the description to how you can get basically this same cooler even cheaper. They have another company that makes it under the E-Home name, and it uses all the same parts. I mean, other than changing a few colors, it's almost the same thing. So feel free to go check out those links down below. Maybe you'll find something that's a little more price effective that is the exact same thing, guys. Now, that said, moving on. So we took this out on 2 week-long trips and then ran it a week here at home. The first week, we were at Myrtle Beach State Park. Now, at that trip, we used this like a refrigerator. We did have electric at the site, so we just plugged it in and kept it plugged in. We would keep things like chickpea salad, lunch meats, drinks, fruit, milk for breakfast, for cereals. I mean, everybody on the trip used this to keep all their food in. It stayed nice and cold, perfect at 30 degrees is what I had it set at, and it was absolutely flawless. Did not have any problem, and there's plenty of room in here for all 4 of us to keep our food in there and keep it cold. Now, this does have a drain plug inside. You can use it as ice. But we calculated up on that trip, if we were buying 2 bags of ice like we normally do there at that time of year at $7 a piece, that's $14 a day. You do that for 6 days, you're starting to pay this thing off super quick. So think about that when you're thinking about buying one of these, because at $200, I'm gonna have this paid off real fast compared to buying ice. Now, continuing on, The second time we used it was when we were at the Airbnb in Kentucky. Now, with 3 couples there, refrigerators fill up fast. Everybody has different eating things and drinks they bring and stuff. So what I did was I brought this and plugged it into the wall, and we put all our drinks in here. And what that allowed us to do is keep all our drinks cool and then leave the fridge for the actual food, which we had a lot of food, so it's lucky we did that. But it performed flawlessly all week. I set it at about 18 degrees, just enough so that it wouldn't freeze stuff. Now, the third week, we use it here at the house. I had picked up a half cow and there wasn't enough room for everything. My freezer's full, my house freezer's full. So we used this for a week to hold stuff until we could eat it down and make room. So this ran for a week at freezing. I had it set at 1 degree. Now it can go to -4, but I only need to take it to 1 degree to keep everything frozen solid. Now, my thinking on that is if my power ever goes out, my deep freeze will stay frozen. Everything's froze hard in there. But in the house, stuff can go bad real quick when the power's out for multiple days. This is a simple way that I can put those items in here, plug it into my solar pack, and be good. Or bring it out and plug it in and put it in the car and make sure it cools down. There's so many ways that I can utilize this thing. It's not gonna be a problem at all. Now, when I talk about price, I want you guys to understand that there are cheaper versions, smaller versions. You don't need one this big. But just not buying ice and being able to have your food there, not having to drive to go get something, you will save the money to pay for this in no time flat. You really, really will. It will not take long to pay this off, especially if you follow my links in the description to Amazon and check out the eHomey brand, because they're far cheaper and it's the same everything. You'll even see it looks like they just colored them a different color. Now, the only downfall I can find to this thing is the shape, and that's because I chose a 40 liter and it's very top, tall. So I would kind of like to have a little shorter. I know it would have held less, but I think it would have been easier when you're packing the cars and stuff, especially in our little Honda Fit when we're trying to travel light and small. This thing sticks up kind of high. So put it in the back seat, it basically takes up the whole seat. Put it in the back of the Fit and it's almost up to the backs of the seat. So it is kind of big and bulky. Not a real big deal for most people probably. They probably don't need one this big. I think it's been an excellent purchase. I'm completely satisfied with it, and I think you would be too. If nothing else, I would go take a look at some of these compressor type coolers. As I said, stay away from the cheap Igloo ones because they don't actually have compressors in them, and they are not power efficient at all. I mean, this thing, around 40 watts and it kicks on and off like a refrigerator. This thing uses nothing. For van life, off-grid use, this thing is essentially a refrigerator or a freezer, and you can't beat that for the little bit of power it uses. And with that said, if you haven't already, and I don't know why you wouldn't, go down, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. Let us know what you thought of the video. Give us a like. Let me know in the comments, do any of you guys have this kind of cooler? And do you have like a Jackery, or we have like the Oops, or do you have one of these solar generators? All right, and run these, and how long can you run yours off of your actual box? I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to get some more information on some other ones of these that we can share with the community. And with that said, I need to get this guy inside because clearly we looking like we're about to have some storms. So I will see you guys in the next one.